We're very pleased to have everyone here, and a lot of everyone. I'm Michael Sperling, Associate Provost for Interdisciplinary, Distributed, and Global Learning. I want to welcome you all to the university, those of you from the outside and those of you from the inside. Glad you could be here with us tonight. We have what I think will be a great talk for you. And to introduce our distinguished speaker for the evening, I'd like to introduce our university president, Michael Adams.
Good evening. Ambassador Wolfgang has been the German ambassador to the United States since July 2000. He joined the German Foreign Service in 1975 with a German law degree and a master's degree from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. He worked at the United Nations in New York and was posted to Washington, D.C. and to Paris. In Bonn, he served as a special assistant to to several foreign ministers. From 1993 to 1998, Ambassador Ischinger served in various senior positions in the foreign ministry, where he led the German delegations to a number of international negotiating processes, including the Bosnia peace talks at Dayton, Ohio, the negotiation concerning the NATO-Russian Founding Act, as well as the negotiations on NATO enlargement and the Kosovo crisis. From 1998 to 2001, Wolfgang Ischinger served as a state secretary, the highest civil service post in the German Foreign Office. Mr. Ischinger has published widely on foreign policy, security, and arms control policy, as well as on European and transatlantic issues. He serves on several non-profit boards, including the Board of Overseers of the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, the East-West Institute in New York, the Council on Public Policy, and the American Friends Service Committee, Germany. He is also chairman of the Ambassador's Advisory Board of the Executive Council on Diplomacy in Washington, D.C. On a personal note, I first met Ambassador Ischinger 4 years ago at a Youth for Understanding dinner in New York. He initially impressed me as an extremely intelligent individual with an intuitive grasp of his fellow human beings. Over subsequent meetings and observations, I have built upon that initial impression. Ambassador Ischinger is a global citizen, a rare individual with a strong ethical foundation, a character that encourages trust, and a commitment to simultaneously representing his country and to forward attitudes and actions that promote world peace and understanding. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Ambassador Wolfgang Ischinger to Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Thank you very much for this warm welcome. It is a personal privilege and a real pleasure for me to be here for the first time at Fairleigh Dickinson. I hope it's not going to be the last time. It was wonderful to drive into this campus on a beautiful fall afternoon. What a beautiful university you have. So congratulations to you, the president, the faculty, and to the students. It's a pleasure to be here. I actually started my function as Germany's representative to the United States on exactly one day before 9/11. I flew from Berlin to Washington on the 10th of September 2001. And the 11th was supposed to be my first normal working day. I believe that my government had decided to offer this most prestigious German diplomatic post to me as some kind of a reward. They knew that I had worked long hours for the last 20, 25 years. I've been in this career now for 30 years. And I suppose the consensus in Berlin was this guy has finally deserved a somewhat, less challenging, a nicer environment. So let's send him to Washington, D.C. And I came with the expectation on the 10th of September that I would in fact work, an hour or two less than in Berlin, and that I would have what I expected to be just a great time, because I like your country and I've been here before. What I've discovered, of course, was that within an hour of that first working day, the world changed dramatically. I could see from my office window on this, my first morning, a black cloud of smoke that kept growing, which was the smoke that came out of the burning Pentagon building, a couple of miles away from my embassy office. Well, after 3 years and a month or so, I think I've come here to you today to talk a little bit about what has happened in between and why we've had a problem. No doubt there has been a problem in the transatlantic relationship, and how we could possibly move on from here, hopefully to a more united transatlantic, a more harmonious transatlantic relationship in the future. And let me start by recalling that, of course, for most of the second half of the last century, the Atlantic Alliance was the linchpin of an extremely successful European-American relationship. A remarkable success story. Through mutual cooperation, through international institutions, peace was preserved, Europe was rebuilt, Germany was rebuilt after the war and reunited with primarily American help, for which my countrymen will be eternally grateful to America. And finally, the Cold War was brought to an end. The Red Army, the Soviet Army, left Central Europe, left Germany. And even more importantly, a year later, the Soviet Union disintegrated. Trade barriers fell. World trade expanded. The international financial system was strengthened. European unity made progress. The standard of living on both sides of the Atlantic rose to unprecedented levels. So the past has really been a very impressive success story. The future has recently looked, let's face it, somewhat less promising. The 21st century is in its beginning stages, but to say that the first years have not been auspicious as regards the continuation of the strong and harmonious partnership between our two countries and between Europe and America is, to state the obvious. At no time since the end of the war have there been more tensions, sharp words, and policy disagreements. The discordant tone in our relationship has had spillover effects on the media and on public opinion. Emotion rather than restraint has been the order of the day, especially as regards events in Iraq and in the Middle East, but on other issues as well. When I talk about this to my friends in Berlin, sometimes I tell them the story of Lyndon Johnson when he met with a German visitor back in the 1960s and tried to explain to this German visitor, this is a true story, how he was bothered by some of the friction in the transatlantic relationship. And Lyndon Johnson said, look, he said to his visitor, your behavior reminds me of the